Hello and welcome to another episode of Budget Photography. In this episode we'll be focusing on food photography and just to practice food photography in your house, and no fancy gear required for this one because we're going to be focusing on using this camera and this lens. This is actually a new lens I just got yesterday. An unboxing video of it will come out soon. It's the Yongnuo 50mm 1.8 from Yongnuo, and depending on where you live, it's roughly between 50 euros to 80 euros price range. Usually you get around 50 euros when you buy it on the internet, and 80 euros is usually when you get it at the local camera store. Anyway, an unboxing video of it, it's coming out soon, and this camera I got it for 25 euros as I said earlier in previous videos. So it's around it's under 110 euros for this setup, so it's actually a budget setup in my opinion. And yeah, we'll be focusing on using this setup today, and possibly the other Sigma zoom I have, the 18-200, when we can. And if we can, we'll also be using a Yongnuo flashlight. That flashlight, it was also under 70 euros. It's pretty much the knockoff version of the Canon 560 EX2. Yeah, and today the light source, I'll be using the natural light source that I have because I have big windows, and we'll just make use of the big windows as some sort of big flashlight, and maybe control the curtains. My curtain as some sort of a diffuser, so just avoiding adding more little equipments here and there that at the end of the day will just raise up the price, and I want to stay on a real budget here. So sure, the flash might be 70 euros or even 60 euros you can find now, but having 70 or 60 euros less is also a lot of money. So yeah, and for food photography today, since we're on a budget, I also made some dumplings. So yeah, let's go and check out the dumplings first. Okay, here's the dumplings in this pot. Whoops. I think it'll be ready in maybe 2 to 3 minutes. So in this time, I'll probably just grab a plate. I also actually just bought this one yesterday because I figured that I have no plates for the dumplings that would suit with it, kind of. So yeah. And because I have too much, I'm probably going to put them in a different plate, just in case some of these may break or things like that during the shoot. I don't know. But because I have too much, and if I would leave them in here, it would start breaking, and then it's going to be over steamed, and it's going to be too soft and everything. And I think I see one that already starts breaking, which is this one. Okay, put it down there. Okay, goes there. It's hot, and I have very low heat tolerance, so it's tricky. Yeah. Alrighty, and we're done for the dumplings. Okay. Because I'm practicing this at home, I'm not gonna make it super perfect, and for the sake of just showing you the photography side more rather than the decoration side, I think better save more time on so that I can actually explain on cameras rather than making the food looks good. In real life, you have to make the food looks good, obviously, because it's part of the thing that will attract other people into looking at your images and make the food more delicious. But I just wanted to show you the technical side and everything. But in real life, put a lot more effort than this on making the food looks good. Maybe add some more vegetables that goes with the dumplings, assuming you're taking pictures of dumplings. But yeah. So my original plan is to use this table as the table, sort of like a background as well, for my dumplings that I've made. and use the big window behind me, really big one, as a big light source. The reason I'm doing this is because it will create shadows like in the foreground, but I'll try to control it like not too much shadows, so just enough that it just draws the eyes in, and yeah, that's it. Let's organize the table. So this table actually has a lot of scratches, but it can easily be fixed in programs like Photoshop or free open source, I'm not sure if it's open source, editing software like GIMP, but there's also a lot of editing programs online for free that, you know, corrects your image or like allow you to like fix or even use the healing tool to like fix all the scratches, pimples, things like that. You know, when you're taking pictures of things that may have scratches or pictures of people that have a lot of pimples like me, then you can easily fix it with a healing tool. And you have a lot of those software online anyway for free. So yeah, since this table, well, I got it for free and I thought it's gonna be nice as like a background. So yeah, you can actually always search for free tables and everything if you look hard enough. Go to like student complexes, there are always students throwing away furniture because they have to move out, or they're like new tenants moving in and they don't like the old furnitures and they just buy their own, so they throw away the old furnitures. You can always look for those tables, or even go to like construction shops, like shops that sell construction stuff. They might throw away woods that may not look good or may not serve the purpose anymore, but photography, like photographically, it will look good and you can use it as a background, so you can always go there and maybe get it for like a really cheap price or even for free in a lot of cases. So yeah, you'll have a free background for something in the future, you never know. Yeah. So, because the sun is always changing, it looks really plain now that I have it here. I should have put some vegetables on it, and the table doesn't really look that good either, but we'll see what we can come up with. Well, what I can come up with in this case. Just a little refinement. I think I want to I'm even thinking that I might have too much dumplings on here. Maybe I think I'm just gonna use like 6 dumplings in total rather than 8. Okay, so usually when you take a lot of, usually when I take pictures for like food menus and everything, they're usually very, very small because it's going to appear on like menus and maybe, if anything, almost A4 size pictures for like, if they want to put some pictures of like their food menus on like the window of the restaurants. So it's not really always bigger than A4 sometimes, and 6 megapixels on this camera is perfectly okay. And we have a really nice light source from outside the window, well, outside anyway. It's a cloudy day, but it's not that cloudy. You still see some blue skies, but anyway, it makes a nice lighting that hits the plate. Now my plate does have a bit of smudges to it because I was adjusting the position of the dumpling, so from that it causes a bit of smudging on it. But in real life, when you're taking pictures of like your food, you will probably have a lot more time than this, and when you're in the restaurant or something like that, they will probably have like proper towel to like wipe the plates and everything, so you can always correct that. And it's always easier to correct it right on location rather than in post. In post, you can correct like minor things, for example, scratches on the table or little pieces of dust here and there. But yeah, that is something you can always correct in post. But when you're correcting like smudges or things like that, it's harder to do in post. It's not impossible, but it will take more effort and more time. So whatever you can correct on location, do it. But because I don't have proper towels right now well, anywhere near me, and it will probably take more time. I'm just gonna leave it at it is right now, and you'll probably get the idea. But yeah, I actually think that this chopsticks does not go with it, with the theme. But anyway, so I'm just gonna put it here, and maybe better. This looks better. Maybe here. And the only limitations you might have when you're taking food, well, one of the limitations you might have when you're taking pictures of food, especially for the menu card, is that some food requires a bit of smoke in there. And because I've spent quite some time trying to adjust this, it's already like cooled down quite a bit. So the smoke is kind of gone already. But if you're photographing, let's say, I don't know, noodle soup, like fancy noodle soup at an Asian restaurant or somewhere, that requires like a bit of smoke coming out to, you know, draw more attention and so it looks a bit more delicious, you know, then okay, you might have to either always ask the chef to prepare at least 2 of them. One comes if this one just gets warm, or just warm it again. But then you have very, very little time to play, and when you do get a chance to take the pictures, just take as much as you can, frame it, like think really quickly. Don't always spend too much time on framing, because you know you might lose the shot because you cannot really always control the smoke. But in this case, that's not really the case that matter that much, because I'm just showing it. So yeah. Now, because the clouds are starting to open a bit more, and so you see more of the blue sky, and now a lot of the blue tones are reflected on the plate. It's okay. I'm liking it for now because it adds more color than just pure black and white, and it does make the dumpling stand out a little bit more, because it's like when you're taking a portrait of a person with like a plain black or white background, you need that light between the background and the person so that it separates the person a bit. So this is a similar thing that, okay, it makes the plate a little bit more blue right now, and the table is not completely black, but people will know that it's wooden black. But yeah, I am liking it. And usually when I shoot, I usually have like a tripod. I shoot with live view mode so that I know if it's balanced or not, but because we don't have live view mode on here and the screen is a bit hard to judge based on the color that it gives, it's not accurate, but it's okay for me to judge the frame as the food is cooling down. Yeah, I'll be using between f3.5 and f1.8. Between this, I'm trying, like, this is not really so much of a dynamic range anymore, because I don't really mind if the background is like blown out, because it's what's drawing the attention, the eye, into the actual food. Not every single photography out there requires like you to see every single detail. This is not a shot where you should show every single detail, like the dust or anything. You're drawing the eyes into the food. So yeah, by using the lower aperture means you get a bit more blurry background, and I'm using a 50mm on a crop frame. This means it's roughly an 85mm. So I don't have to get that close, and the background will be more compressed, which is nice. So yeah, I'm just gonna place it a bit more here and start finally taking some shots. Let me put it into manual, adjust my shutter speed and aperture. I'm gonna start with around f2.5 just to see how that turns out. Shutter speed will depend on what you actually shoot with. Okay, right away I'm noticing like some sort of problem with the autofocusing system, that, you know, because I have a lot of white and it's seeing dumplings as a lot of white, find it hard to focus. Whoa, that is completely overexposed. I shouldn't have trust this metering. Okay, the metering still says it's a bit exposed. What's my ISO? Oh, my ISO is 400, that's why. Okay. Put it down. That's a little bit better, but I want to eliminate, I only want to see the table in the frame. I don't want to see what's after the table. So I'm playing around with the position of the food right now. It's okay if you don't get the entire plate in, because not every menu requires, you know, the entire plate in. You can always play with the pattern of the table, depending on the background you're working with. You can play around with the pattern and the plate and everything. But yeah, and always feel free to move things around. But I'm finding a little bit difficulty changing the focusing system, so it's very challenging right now. Just gonna move it closer to the light source. This is more of like a tighter frame. This is based on the screen, it's more of an exposure that I like, but because I don't trust the screen, I'm just gonna play around a bit brighter and a bit darker, so that I have more samples later in post. So if I need to adjust like this part of the shadow, that bit here and there, so yeah. And right now I'm just kind of shooting in portrait view. Okay, I think I'm liking it a bit, and now making it a bit brighter. Okay. Okay, I actually like this one. What I miss about my professional camera that I have is the rating button. My camera, my 5D Mark III, it has the rating button, so if there's an image that I like right away on display, I can just press rate, it put a star both on the screen here, and I will also see it in my Lightroom software that I selected that image because I like it. And this image looks to be like a keeper, it's portrait, and now I found some images, well I have some images that I like in portrait. I'm going to try in landscape view. So yeah. And I think that I won't be using the 18-200 today, because I am so far quite liking this. Yeah, it seems to be a nice one. And feel free to, like, just because you think one side of the food looks nice does not mean that you're not allowed to try all the other one. You can always like go around and see like which pattern you might like. I'm just randomly like adjusting it just for the sake of showing. But obviously in real life, like real shooting, more detail needs to be, well, more attention needs to be paid to every single detail. Kind of frustrating that the display takes so long to load because I'm shooting RAW and it's taking so long to load like raw images. It's showing me I have 424 images left. 424 was my library number that I had to borrow books from the library when I was in middle school. Anyway, okay, now I actually have several images that I like from landscape view. And yeah, I think I am done with shooting for now. But as I said earlier, usually when you have better cameras like live view and everything, it's so much nicer and so much better to have a tripod. Set your camera on the tripod, use live view to always like make sure that you're focused on whichever dumplings or whichever food you're taking is in focus, in the area that you want it to be in focus, because you want to draw the attention to the right part of the frame. And what I haven't really done here is play a lot with the focus. I pretty much stuck to like 2 focusing spots here and there, but that's because I really only want to focus on that. But in real life, make sure they're spread around. Make sure always focus in different areas. So it's always good to have more images in different focusing spots than focusing on one single place all the time. And then later in post, you might realize that you might not like it so much. And by using lower aperture means the background will be blurry, and by having blurry backgrounds, it adds to that feeling that drawing, the attention into the attention of the audience into the image, wanting them to eat that. Anyway, since I'm done, I can finally eat my dumplings and yeah, show you the images. Okay, I just finished eating all these dumplings, and in the same time I also just finished importing all the pictures and everything, and just do some little minor adjustments like recovering the shadows and bring down the highlights, simple things, and then export it out. And what I can see right away is that if you can recall that when I was talking about like the clouds were opening up and then blue sky was just coming in, and on the plate it had this bluish tone to it, but very, very subtle blue. But apparently on the computer, after I kind of like bring down the highlights and boost up the shadows, make the white more white, makes the black more black. In the same time, when you make the white more white and the black more black, it creates more contrast. And in the same time, it makes more saturation as well. This means that on the table, they're more blue tone than I was expecting on the final result. So I brought the blue down a little bit, but if you bring it down completely, then it will turn gray. So I just kept the blue. And if we're just taking a look at the screen here, this was one of the very first pictures. Because these are exported, I just pick the ones I like. So not all of the images are here. Not that there are a lot of images anyway. So if we take a look right away, it's a really, really nice combo when I pair the 50mm with the 300D, because like the background is really, really compressed, and like because the resolution of the 300D is only 6 megapixel, this means that the lens, even though it's not such a high resolution lens like optically, combining with a 6 megapixel from the 300D makes this lens a sharp enough lens to use for this kind of photography. And if we zoom in right here, we can see that there are very, very minimal color fringing, which actually surprised me a lot, because I was expecting more purple color fringing around the edges of the plate, where there's a lot of white light and everything with the kind of a contrasty background. And up here, there's also very, very little amount of green color fringing. And actually, I kind of emphasized the green tone when I made the black more black and the white more white, because in the same time, that creates more contrast and a little bit of saturation as well. What I also made is I made the dumplings more warm, like the tone of it a bit more warm, so that it looks nicer to eat. Well, to look at as food, I think. Like when you're taking pictures of food, you have to think about, does this food, like the menu you're taking, um, will it look more like pleasing when it's warmer tone or cooler tone? Yeah, so you have to think of that as well. And the rest of the images are just me purely trying to take it from different angle. And this is another shot where I wish I had live view because then I could balance it more, like easier. The viewfinder coverage from the 300D is only 95%, I believe it was. So I couldn't see the entire frame. Adding onto that is I did not probably use a tripod either, so it would probably help if I had a ball head tripod and then I could just balance it properly. And then if there was live view, I could see it on a bigger screen, so I can judge easier if there like if the image was tilting or anything. So yeah, but a lot of these problems can also be eliminated. You know, like if you had more time, which I kind of did, but I also wanted to like make this video a little bit shorter, though it's probably too late by now. Yeah, so in return I also had this black, well not black, this gap after the table that I said I wanted to eliminate, but it showed up anyway. Yeah, so this shot was a bit better. And then here I changed to landscape. We can see very clearly there's color fringing here, here, and there. But usually when you make these kind of images, you don't really look a lot for these things, unless if it's for like real professional thing. But for like a 300D camera with the 50mm lens, it's a really, really nice setup, and this is actually a really, really nice shot. So, I mean, a normal smartphone cannot do something like this, and yeah, it's still an advantage of having like such a cheap APS-C size sensor and what you can do with the bigger sensors. So APS-C size, when you mount it with a really nice lens, it still will outperform a lot of the more expensive smartphones out there that cost maybe 600, 700, 800 euros that boast about having such great picture quality. It does, maybe in terms of resolution, but the effects that what you can get out of a DSLR is still like outperforms the smartphones. Sure, smartphones might do better in low light nowadays compared to like a camera from the year 2003 that I was using. But yeah, looking on, yeah, the rest is pretty much like same here. And then I tried changing the position a little bit, and that was pretty much the last image. But going back to this image, I think this image is like my overall favorite image of this shoot. It's I think I like the pictures more in landscape. That's just my personal taste, that I like pictures in landscape view more than portrait view. And the fact that this particular dumplings is in focus, it just stands out, you know. You use that, I think I was using f2.5 or f2, I'm not sure. I think it was either f2 or f2.5. I didn't really feel like using f1.8 because the 300D, the focusing system is not that accurate. So especially if I'm not using the center point autofocusing system, I'm using more of the sideline autofocusing system from points from the 300D. This means that the chances that I will miss this focus point is also quite high. And the focus point recognized this as like a white area. So there were times when it was hunting for focus. You know, when the camera thinks it's like a plain white area, then, you know, it can be very challenging for a camera, especially an entry-level camera from the year 2003. So I didn't really want to push it that much, and yeah. But overall, for this shoot, I think it's another success. Like, I managed to I managed to have like some pretty good end results, I think. had I spent more time and more effort into making the food look nicer or cooking a different meal and then preparing it properly, like cleaning up the smudges and everything, I think it would have looked a lot better. So it's not only about the camera lighting, but it's also all about the extra things, like how you present the food. It's like making a short film. When you're choosing location, let's say if you're even filming in the bedroom of your protagonists, you have to think about what kind of character is your protagonist and how would the bedroom of your protagonist look like? How would the house, how would the furniture, how would the lifestyle, how would the food look like that the protagonist would eat? All these little things that once thought through and presented properly in a short film will make the audience feel like, subconsciously feel like how the protagonist is actually like, rather than all the dialogue he or she is saying, how the behavior he or she is saying, and so on and so forth, you know. All these little things matter to actually tell the story. And that's no difference to food photography, is that how you present the plate, the way you present the food, like the way how you cook it, the way the color of it looks, the lighting, the camera angle, the plate, the background, everything needs to like work together, and that will create a better shot. Now, obviously this is not like the best shot out there. This is just me wanting to show an example of like budget photography and how I can use natural resources like the light from my window that I have on like a midday. Well, it's more of a morning kind of setup, but how I use that as a light source and how I created this shadows here. And I think it looks nicer with shadows coming over here rather than having shadows, for example, like on the side or whatever. So, all these things needs to be planned, and yeah, everything just have to work together. Everything, like your image, you can have a really, really technically sound image when everything works together. And yeah, also with the rule of third, kind of. Whoops. And then, yeah, or this, and then if you draw this and that. I can't draw right now. Let's see if I can. No, I can't. Anyway, but yeah, that's just my little tip for now, and thank you very, very much for watching. All the images will be presented at the very end of the video. Yeah, I hope this video helps. I hope it's not that long, though it's pretty long already from what I can see. And yeah, if there are any questions, just leave them below. Any suggestions as well. I'm willing to take any suggestions. Apart from making it shorter, it seems like every time I try to make shorter videos, it just doesn't work. So I have no idea why, but yeah, it just doesn't work. Yeah, but that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next episode. In the meantime, have fun shooting. Bye.